Welcome to Tech Closeup and to San Jose's Tech Museum, right in the heart of the Silicon Valley. I'm Mark Albertson, and one look around here and you're surrounded by innovation. Well, that's what this valley's all about. So stick around for another close-up look at the people and the technologies that make this valley tick. In this month's program, we'll look at the latest in internet video technology and how it's starting to look a lot more personal than ever before. We'll have a tech talk with Sonia Arison, Director of Technology Studies for the Pacific Research Institute. And Christina King takes us to an all-girls school in Palo Alto, where science and engineering have propelled one group of students to the front of the class in robotics technology. You know, it's hard to imagine the world before the internet. In fact, we send over 35 billion emails every day. In fact, my own 91-year-old mother emails me about why I haven't emailed her. The internet's a lot more than just electronic letters. It's pictures, it's internet video. In fact, if you could link it or attach it, we're going to send it. Well, a Bay Area company called SightSpeeds developed interactive video technology that gives new meaning to the term personal delivery. If you've ever made a video phone call over the internet, well, it probably looked something like this. But why?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Squirt?
Video phone calls look so great in science fiction like 2001.
Where's Mummy?
Gone to shopping.
If only the real thing worked like the movies. Cheap, lifelike video phones seem like a dream that just won't come true.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find somebody to call here. It's like, oh, hey, there's Jack. Hey, Jack.
But it's no dream at Berkeley's SightSpeed. With a computer, a camera, and an internet connection, the video phone comes to life.
There's nothing special about this software or the camera he's using. Jack, what kind of camera do you have there? Is it just?
I just have a little Logitech QuickCam Pro, the standard camera that most of us use here in the office.
So it's an off-the-shelf camera. Now watch here. You can actually see Jack's eyes blink. That's what really blows people away. Is that it's the natural communication that you get. The dramatic difference people notice is in how smooth and natural the entire experience is.
The SightSpeed experience is, at first, just another website with a download. But that's where the similarities end. SightSpeed software turns the whole computer into a video telephone. The computer's memory helps mimic the way the human brain filters out the unnecessary, so the eye focuses on just what's important.
We analyze the visual stream in the same way in which the human eye and the human brain analyzes video or movement. So we actually filter out what is not important to human perception. So we're very selective about the information that we send, and then we're very efficient in how we send it.
The bottom line, the internet sends live video that doesn't flutter, stall, or freeze. That's impressed some high-profile tech writers and publishers. It's also what convinced some Silicon Valley venture capitalists to buy in.
We realized, well, that combined with the fact that people now have broadband, they now have powerful PCs, they now have easy-to-install webcams, maybe now is finally the time. I travel a lot on business. I've sat in a hotel in Tokyo with my laptop and camera talking to my children back home. And I have to tell you, it seems like a very Jetsons moment when you're doing that. And you kind of forget that this is a company you've invested in and you're just using the product. And it was really amazing.
How many users do you have?
Well, that's actually a number I'm not allowed to release. I apologize. It is significant and growing rapidly. We have people in 158 countries. SightSpeed is 10 languages.
And here's what they get. The SightSpeed website offers several levels, from free audio service to video service from $5 to $15 a month. That service includes video calls, conferences, and even video built into email. And yes, there's even video voicemail. And if you don't want to take somebody's video call, yes, SiteSpeed even comes with caller ID. Jack, how often do you use this? I mean, obviously this is work for you right now, but do you use this socially too?
I do, actually. I've got a couple friends that have since moved to other towns or you know, moved away, and we use SiteSpeed to talk on the weekends, chat, hang out, that sort of thing. Talk to my mom occasionally. It was, you know, hard to get her to try it out. You know, I needed to upgrade her internet to modern times, and but she likes it. She's excited now. She feels a lot closer. We get to talk.
Are you only as good as someone's personal computer?
We are only as good as their computer, their camera, and their internet connection.
Which means SiteSpeed's still got a ways to go till science fiction turns into science fact. But it's getting close.
No, Daddy's traveling. Very sorry about it, but I just can't.
As they say, the picture is worth 1,000 words.
When we feel like we're changing people's lives so significantly that they're willing to sit down and write us letters and send us video clips and video mails, we know we're making a difference.
She's got her own website called Sonia Says, and when Sonia says something, believe me, people listen. Sonia Arrison's been leading studies on technology issues for many years, and she's got a unique perspective on the hottest in technology issues. So we dropped in at the Pacific Research Institute in San Francisco to get Sonia's take on what's hot in technology. Well, if you're going to talk about technology issues, you're probably going to be talking to someone like Sonia Arrisson. Sonia is director of the technology studies at PRI. This is the Pacific Research Institute. Do we call this a think tank?
We are a think tank, yes. One of the few in the Bay Area.
I read one of your columns, though, specifically about e-voting. And in e-voting, you're still dealing with security issues there. And you seem to feel that there's been some hyperbole, that people have been exaggerating the danger. Is it really that, is that the case?
Well, yes and no. There's been a lot of discussion here in Silicon Valley from really prominent computer scientists like Barbara Simons and David Dill, talking about the dangers of e-voting machines. And the thing that they're worried about is that some of these machines, there's a possibility that some of these machines could be hacked into. And if they're hacked into, then the entire vote could be rigged, and that's really bad then, right? And they're right that it's possible that these machines can be hacked into. But one of the things we try to point out in our paper is, while that's the case, that's still a lot harder to do than it is to take a big bag of votes and dump them in the river.
But it still can happen. I mean,
sure, well, but no voting system can be absolutely secure. And so what we really need to look at, and what we argue in the paper, is that you can't make the perfect the enemy of the good. What you need to do is you have to look at the progression of how do we reduce voter fraud. And are voting machines better than paper? And we submit that yes, voting machines are better than paper in a whole host of ways.
Now, broadband, another aspect here. The one thing I think about, though, in terms of broadband is one word: convergence.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to have one umbrella, omnibus form of communication where we run our computer, watch TV, we can do the electronics in the household, everything is all in one box, one screen? Is that going to happen?
Well, if the leading tech firms have it right, then the answer is yes. I mean, if you listen to folks like Microsoft and Verizon and SBC, you know, I just saw a presentation for SBC's Project Lightspeed yesterday, where they're talking about how they want to roll out IPTV, which is television over the internet. And at the same time as you're watching television over the internet, you can also upload your photos and share them with people and talk on the phone using voice over internet protocol. And the whole entire presentation was about how you can take all your communications and converge them in one spot. And so that's the message that a number of companies are giving, and it looks like that's the way the marketplace is going. And you know, I think that consumers actually want to see that as well. So I'd say that the answer is yes. Convergence is what's going to happen.
Well, the move to high-def television, which is all digital, it's all now speaking the same language. Is this kind of the industry's way of kind of making sure that everything fits in the same deck?
Well, it's always easier for industry when things are standardized, and there's, you know, the protocols are all the same, and because then you don't have to have different platforms for different items. So
We're moving in that direction then.
yeah, absolutely.
There are two things that I know we have to get to, and one of them is on everybody's mind. It's called spam.
Yes.
Is there really a way to control it?
Right now, no. It's been this big battle between the technology companies and the spammers, and this big cat and mouse game. And then in late 2003, Congress passed the Can-Spam Act. That went into effect early 2004, and we really haven't seen, the law hasn't had much of an impact, even though a lot of the big companies like Microsoft and Earthlink and others are suing spammers and winning in court. It hasn't really stopped the flow of spam. And I don't think we're actually going to see spam subside until there's a really good technical solution. And in fact, I wrote a paper on this about a year ago where I suggest that it would be even better if we had a technical solution married with an economic solution, so that there's economic incentives that drive the email space.
I'm one of those people, maybe I'm in the minority, but I'm one of those people who said, big deal, so it's spam, I'll just delete it.
Yeah.
Why is this such a big issue?
Well, it's a bandwidth issue. So a bandwidth and a productivity issue. So workers, you might not mind deleting your email, but if I'm working at Bank of America and I'm getting tons of spam and I'm spending a whole bunch of my minutes or hours during the workday deleting spam instead of actually doing my work, then there's a productivity loss. And so that's it. That's what businesses are really worried about.
Productivity of manpower or productivity of the internet itself and bandwidth itself?
Both. So there's the labor productivity issue, which is the deleting and the distraction and all that. And then there's the bandwidth issue where you're just getting all this mail sent into your servers that you've got to store and manage and deal with, especially if some of the spam comes in tandem with viruses. And that's very
it's a
bad.
spam bomb.
Yeah.
And that's happened before.
Yes.
So at this point, there doesn't seem to be any kind of a reasonable answer.
No, not yet. Although there are a couple different ideas out in the market right now. With Microsoft's got their sender ID, and Yahoo's got their domain keys, and both of those systems are designed to stop the forging of email, which is one of the big reasons why it's difficult to stop spam.
If Benjamin Franklin was still alive, I wonder what he would think about what's happened to journalism. Because blogging is like a whole new way to spread information, and it's often wrong, or it's often tweaked with someone's point of view, but it's interpreted as the real thing, and there's no one there to regulate it or to guide it. Are we on the verge of something that's dangerous?
Oh, I don't think so. I think people, the truth always shakes out. And I would actually make the opposite argument, that the internet, the fact that there are all these blogs out there means that there's all these competing voices. And if someone says something that's not right, there's always a whole bunch of people that will point that out. And I think that in the competition of the marketplace of ideas and speech and all that it actually, it's a better situation when you have a lot of people who get to speak, as opposed to some kind of consolidation where there's only a few people who get to speak, and then if they get it wrong, then it's really wrong.
Well, for someone who has been so close to the internet and has followed this technology, if you were to try to look ahead, is blogging the first step of something that's going to be totally different in the future? Are we just at the beginning of a major change in communication?
I think that we might be, I think that there's part of that that's true. Blogs, to me, help to manage data. And, I'll go and look at all the regular newspapers and stuff, but then I'll go look at the blogs that I trust. Right, so there's reputation that's built on the web. So I'll go look at Glenn Reynolds' Instapundit or Virginia Prostrell's Dynamis.com and see what they've picked out from the web that they think is interesting. And so it's an addition to me, and it's actually a way for me to save time by going to some of the blogs, because they've already aggregated a lot of the useful data for me.
Now, we've talked about a lot of the political influences involving the internet, but what about here in Silicon Valley? How does politics affect the Valley, its technology, its future? Is it intertwined with government intervention, or are we really in a libertarian perspective here?
Well, a lot of people tend to think that Silicon Valley is full of libertarians, and indeed, that's what I thought when I arrived here about 6 years ago. But over time, I've realized that that's not really the case. And what I found instead is that most folks in Silicon Valley are sort of apolitical. They're really interested in their technologies, and they're excited about their technologies, and they're focused on their business more than they are on politics. And but there is something about people in Silicon Valley that makes them look libertarian, even though they might not necessarily be libertarian. And I think that can be explained through something called dynamism. There was a book written a few years ago called The Future and Its Enemies by Virginia Postrel, where she separated the world into statists and dynamists. And statists are the type of people who sort of cling to the past and think that knowledge can be centralized and easily transferred, and they're the reactionaries and the central planners and those types of people. And then there's the dynamists, who believe that knowledge is more tacit and distributed, and you can't really easily transfer it in a sort of centralized manner. And because of that, you've got to have more of a general framework. And these people tend to be more sort of future-oriented, future-looking. And I think people in Silicon Valley, almost all of them without fail, fall into the dynamist category, because they're all interested in innovation and new technology and looking forward towards the future. And that enthusiasm for progress sometimes makes them look like they're libertarian.
The Silicon Valley used to be, at least, the signature name for all of technology. We've already talked about how the internet is such a global phenomenon. When Silicon Valley speaks, do people still listen?
I think they do. You know, a lot of times Silicon Valley CEOs will get together and go to Congress and speak about certain issues that really affect them. And I think that does have an impact. I mean, I think that there's still a glam factor when it comes to technology in Silicon Valley. Politicians love this stuff. And so I think that Silicon Valley has a lot of influence in that way, because they stand for new, they stand for freedom, they stand for economic growth. And those are all good things in the political realm. The problem is, though, is that Silicon Valley often, even still today, even though their lobbying presence has grown in Washington, D.C., they still tend to kind of ignore what's going on with the government machinery, because they're so focused on creating their products and distributing them internationally.
Is that a good thing?
It's good and bad. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, I think it's a really great thing that business leaders are really focused on what they're doing. The bad part comes from if you're not watching what government's doing and they pass a bill that affects your business and you didn't know it beforehand, then you're in big trouble.
So they're not paying attention to the rearview mirror.
Right. Well, more so now than before, but not nearly like a regular old school industry.
And talking about old school industries, Microsoft, Apple, Intel, we're hearing what sound like some strange bedfellows lately. Is there a merger coming here?
Well, Apple just recently announced that they're switching from using the IBM chips in their computers to using Intel chips, which really shook up the Apple community. And
sure.
There was a lot of discussion about it. And one of the things that was floated was, well, if you're going to switch to Intel chips, maybe you could make your operating system, your OS X, run on any computer, not just on Apple.
So it's Windows compatible.
Right, and would that open up the space, and would that open up market for Apple, and is this good or bad? And so a lot of people have been talking about that. My sense is that Apple tends to not like to open up their intellectual property to others when they don't have to. I mean, we saw that way back when Bill Gates was trying to get Apple to partner with Microsoft to put their operating system on general PCs, and Apple refused to do it, and so Gates just went and started his own operating system, and we all know what happened with that. He's got most of the market today.
He's had it for a long time.
Yes.
Graphic designers have always loved Apple products. They rave about it. Now all of a sudden the Intel chip, which has been the PC chip, is going to be in their computers. Do they have anything to worry about?
Well, it does seem like a bit of a clash of cultures. Sort of Apple has this, they did a really good job of creating this image of high-end, interesting, quirky, different from the rest of the industry. And Intel seems like the standard, sort of average Joe chip, if you will. And so it'll be interesting to see how those two cultures meld, and if Apple supporters are willing to accept that or not.
Could be the more things change, the more they stay the same.
It could be.
Yeah. Sonia Arison, we have enjoyed speaking with you. Sonia, you are the Director of Technology for the Pacific Research Institute. What a think tank, and quite a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us. Here at Tech Closeup, we've always got an eye out for future leaders in science and technology. So when we heard about a group of girls assigned the challenge to build a real robot, well, we knew we just had to go and meet them. So Christina King went to the Castellea School for Girls in Palo Alto, where a team of students mixes math, science, and technology with amazing results.
Pull out.
It's heavy, but this contraption of wires, plastic, and chains really can move. The robot's mission is unusual yet simple. Use its long arm to pick up several smaller triangle-shaped plastic pipes called tetras and place them on top of a larger one. Two girls control the joysticks. It's hard to believe a team of 30 put this thing together so quickly.
Initially, we started the competition really late. We only had 6 weeks to do everything, organize, build, completely everything. And most teams, the day we started our kickoff was the first time we had met, and most teams before that had planned, gotten fundraising opportunities, etc.
The all-girl Gatorbotics team had just 6 months to get ready for a regional robotics competition that would pit them against teams from other schools. It meant hard work and long days.
Arrive at school, you do school till 3 or whatever, and then you maybe do half an hour of homework, and then you come and work on the robot.
Work not just on the robot, but on a whole series of marketing tools. Some girls designed the team's website. Others created computer animation showing the robot in real-life situations.
We created a whole world inside of the computer, so different people did different parts. Like one person did the buildings, and one person put it all together with the people, and I did a lot of work on the fire and the robot.
With sponsorships from a few Bay Area corporations and tech firms, and a lot of faculty mentors, they were ready for the Silicon Valley regionals. Though Team 1700 didn't have the fastest, most accurate machine, the girls earned themselves a big honor, taking home the All-Star Rookie of the Year award. Their teamwork had paid off.
We were there countless hours, our mentors, our teachers, but everyone had a job to do, and I think that's why we feel so successful.
The competition is sponsored by the nonprofit FIRST organization, which helps inspire kids to see math, science, and technology as cool. It was now time to get ready for the much tougher national contest in Atlanta, where they knew they would have to prove that girls can be engineers too. Kyle Behringer is one of the faculty advisors.
When they went to nationals, we had to talk with them about, being really upfront with other guys on other teams who were there, that they were there because they were interested in the technology.
But the technology would fail them at nationals.
We noticed that our shaft was kind of bent, not just kind of bent, but really bent. So instead of being straight, it sort of went up, which was a problem because that means it would probably snap in half. So, and we had very little time in between matches.
They would have to quickly change the motor and get it out of the motor mount.
Also, you could tell from the sound because when the motor shaft bends up, one of the main problems is that the gears are no longer aligned, and so that puts a big strain on the motor, and you're losing a lot of effort. You're losing a lot of the work that the motor puts out, and so when it was aligned again, we had a lot more strength in our arm.
But it wasn't the stronger arm, it was their problem-solving skills that would earn them the same title on a national level.
This year's Rookie All-Star Award goes to Team 1700.
We were really surprised, especially after regionals. We had some bad luck, we had some bad rounds, so we didn't end up being ranked very high, but we did make it into the, after the seeding rounds, and so that was really exciting in itself. And then when we got chosen for All-Star Rookie, we were so excited, and to be able to go to Atlanta was such an amazing experience.
An experience they hope to face again with an improved robot.
We learned this year, and because we went to nationals, we really got a sense of what it takes to truly be a successful team. We went to nationals because we were the rookie all-star team, not because we had the best technology. Now they know what it's like to really be successful in terms of the technology. So now they have to decide what's the commitment they want to make. I think they can take it as far as they want, but they have to decide what's the commitment they want to make to doing this.
If you'd like to learn more about the girls of Gatorbotics, they have a website, gatorbotics.com. Of course, we have a link for you at techcloseup.com.
All right, it's time to chew, or shall we say drink, on this. It's Tech Bites. This is one of our favorite segments. This is when we take a moment to explain some common science and technology, and that's why we come here for some explanations at San Jose's Tech Museum of Innovation. Our favorite explainer, of course, is with us. This is Tony Santos. How you doing, Tony? All right, this looks like you got an underwater camera?
We do. Thanks for being with us. We're in the exploration gallery here. We focus on land and space and deep sea exploration. Again, taking these ideas, making them as tangible as we can for the people that come down to the museum. This is a remote operated vehicle, just like what was used to explore the Titanic wreckage and also explore the ocean floor. Think about the different technologies just to get this operational, then sort of beyond that, thinking about the technologies to make this functional for the long haul underwater. So we have a crack engineering staff that keeps their exhibits up, obviously.
This must be one of your favorite exhibits.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Obviously very visual, catches people's eye when they come through the gallery. But also, some really interesting lessons. Again, this gallery that we're in captures all the way from deep sea up into outer space. And so I think...
And again, you said this is kind of how they found Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. So it, just like in the Hollywood movie, you saw these sorts of vehicles down there exploring the wreckage, reporting back so we can get a better understanding of what happened in that wreckage.
Talk about a reality check. This
Very
is
much
the real
so.
thing.
Very much
Tony,
so.
thanks for this explanation on Tech Bites. Now, if you've got some science and technology that you'd like explained, well, why don't you write us? Ask Tech Bites. You can find a link to Tech Bites on our website at www.techcloseup.com. Tech Closeups now available on community access channels all across the Bay Area. In fact, we're now seen in 2 million households. That number keeps growing. Just this month, we added 2 stations in Mountain View and Gilroy. Now, you can find a complete guide to where to find Tech Closeup on our website at techcloseup.com. Our website is also a place for you to send us your suggestions and our story ideas, which we always welcome, and we're going to get right back to you. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Levinson. And remember, if you want to stay close to the people and the issues that drive this high-tech Silicon Valley, well, then join us next time for another edition of Tech Closeup.